Well, it's end of June. We're out for another hike, and as you can see, there's a lot of snow up here still. We're in some familiar territory. We're out near Grouse Ridge, heading towards Glacier Lake. I've done a couple of videos out here. And it's me and my buddy Brian, and Kiki, the wonder dog. And we're just kind of doing a shakedown hike. We've got a big trip planned July 4th weekend into Bears Lake Basin. And we've got some new gear, and aside from that, we just have to carry some unusual gear for this time of year. As I mentioned, there's still a ton of snow, and there will be even more when we get up into the Pine Creek area in a couple of weeks. And so we're carrying a weird mix of summer stuff and winter stuff, and we just wanted to do a little shakedown hike, kind of get used to the handful of new gear that we're carrying, and just see how these kits we've built for this kind of mixed weather hiking are going to work. You know, we've got traction devices, we've got crampons and micro spikes and things like that, but we've also got, you know, our summer quilts and our lighter sleeping pads. We're wearing more summery clothing, things like that. So we just wanted to get some time on the trail, get some time in the field, a little bit closer to home, and see how this kind of Frankenstein kit works together. Hiking in this environment this weekend was a really good reminder of something I think a lot of hikers may not think about, and that is that the majority of your snowmelt happens underneath the visible snowpack. As the sun is beating down on the snow all day long, all that water works its way down towards the ground following the path of least resistance. This can create a number of different hazards. You know, you may have unstable snow bridges, you may have huge lengths of undercut snow along the banks of rivers and creeks. You could have big voids underneath what appears to be a stable snowpack. You know, you can post hole through that, you could twist an ankle, break a bone. Worst case scenario, you could get sucked all the way in and drown in the rushing water underneath the snowpack. Listen to this clip. That is the sound of water rushing underneath our feet. Now we are on what appears to be a stable snowpack, but there could be very, very thin areas in the crust. You know, there's a great opportunity here for danger. So it's a really good time to, you know, turn off that Bluetooth speaker, take out your earbuds, and really listen for the things that you may not be able to see that could be potentially dangerous. So navigating in snow is tricky. Even with our GPS and everything else, we have managed to land at the wrong lake. I have no idea how we pulled this off. Like, I know exactly where we are, and I know where we are in relation to where we want to be, but we are not where we're supposed to be. Well, we found a pretty okay campsite. We did not make it to Glacier Lake. We were at a lake called Downey Lake. And that decision was sort of twofold. One, it was getting a little bit late in the day. It was, I think, like 4:45 when we finally decided to stop and set up camp. Maybe 5:30 by the time we'd found an appropriate spot and got everything set up and ready. So under normal conditions, that wouldn't have been a big deal because we'd still have, 2 or 3 hours of sunlight left this time of year. But with the amount of snow that is still in this area and the speed with which we were moving through that snow, it could have taken us 4 hours, maybe even 5 hours to get to Glacier Lake. So it seemed a smarter choice just to stop here. And another reason that we chose to stop was that we weren't 100% confident we could find Glacier Lake given the current trail conditions. And stopping somewhere where we know where we are and we know how to get back to the car seemed a smarter plan than carrying on with the hike and maybe making the situation worse. This isn't an uncommon situation. I know for a lot of new hikers, you hear stories like this and it might scare you off. You might get worried, about getting lost yourself. And this happens more than hikers admit. And, you can choose to call it and go back to the car, and that's a completely valid choice. Or you can choose to do what we did and just find an alternative campsite. And that's also a perfectly valid choice. So as long as you're staying safe and doing the right thing, there's really not a wrong choice. So I'm gonna get some dinner ready and enjoy our night. The following morning, over oatmeal and coffee, we looked over the maps for next weekend's adventure. What we're hoping to accomplish here is to kind of find some alternate routes, go into the trip with a plan A, a plan B, maybe even a plan C and D, depending on what the snow conditions are like in the Bear Lakes Basin. Even though this trip we were on this weekend didn't go exactly to plan, we still had a great night. We got to spend a night under the stars, got in some good hiking miles, and we were both able to identify some issues and things with our gear that need to be resolved before we head out on that July 4th weekend trip. So overall, I'm calling this trip a success, even though it didn't work out exactly the way we wanted it to.